On Mark's Planet, we're going to talk about self-defense. Okay, one of my biggest things is I'm not trying to disrespect anybody else's style, anybody else's experience, but I am one of those firm believers. How are you going to teach how to defend yourself on the street if you've never actually had to defend yourself on the street? I myself have had a couple of street fights, different situations, not something to be proud of, but I do have real world practical experience. Okay, so I'm going to show a couple of things. I have one of my students, Mr. Chris here. Okay, so first off, one of the things that came up in class the other day was, well, how should I stand? There's actually different ways to stand in a self-defense situation, but one of the things I strongly suggest my students don't do is put their hands like this against their face. Because someone like me, I'm going to hit your own arm or hit your own hand, make you punch or hit yourself. Also, it depends on the situation. If I go, hey, come on, I don't want to fight, look at my hands, they're balled up. Looks like I want to fight. But if I go, hey, I don't want to fight, even though my hands are open and I look a little weak, I can still do blocks. But today we're going to talk about attack the attacker. This is one of the rules at Five Dragons Karate. We attack the attacker, and this is why. Mr. Chris has a knife. Okay? Now, a lot of people teach this. He comes at me, we're going to do an overhead strike. He comes in, I block, but look at where that knife is. Now, a lot of things people don't realize, though, is he has inertia. So even though I block, my arm is going to have a little bit of give. He's got more momentum coming towards me. That's a dangerous position to be in. So when we attack the attacker, okay, I step in, see how far the knife is away from me, and actually if I was going at full speed, I would do a lot of damage to his arm, probably even throw him down to the ground, just from the block. Okay? One of the other things we talk about at Five Dragons Karate is every time I touch my opponent, I should hurt them. So our blocks are strikes are blocks. So in other words, when Mr. Chris comes in with that overhead, I'm not just blocking. This should have hurt his arm. This should have knocked the knife out of his hand, done some damage, even if I block at the shoulder. So my initial first contact should have hurt him. Okay? And if you do it right, you don't have to continue. Now here's another problem I have with the way old school self-defense used to be taught is everybody had the impression that because I'm a martial artist, I have to let my opponent attack first. It's not exactly the smartest thing, and this is why. Once again, we've got the knife. I want you to do a slash to the side. Okay, so we're at the bar, we're on the street. He's been talking junk. He pulls out the knife, and I wait here. Boom. Yeah, that's a good block and everything, but still, there's that potential that something could have happened. Okay? As soon as I see that knife, boom, I go in on him. I don't want to give him a chance to attack me. I attack, okay? Bam! Okay? Because he's got a knife. He may just be using it for show, but for my safety, I'm going to defend myself. I want to go home. That's one of the main things in self-defense. I want to go home. Okay? So he's talking all this junk. He's getting aggressive. He pulls that knife out. Boom. Okay? Done. Yeah, and also being aware of the situation. In other words, in my personal experience, most knife fights, we're facing each other. He has to pull the knife out. He activates it. And then, hey, look, dude, it escalates from there. Okay? Very rarely have I see a situation, my back's to him, unless maybe there's multiple people around. He may have been talking junk and I'm trying to walk away, but still, out the corner of my eye, I can still see him. He just pulled the knife out. Boom! I'm not going to give him that option. Okay? In reality, the last street fight I ever had, I didn't throw a single punch. I'm listening to my headphones, walking through the streets of Gary, Indiana, late at night. Used to drive my mother crazy. But I always had the volume low on my headphones. So as I'm walking, I hear some feet coming up behind me. I turn around and go, "What's up?" Two guys were running up behind me. I go, what's up? They both go, oh, nothing. Not a punch or anything was thrown. By being aware of my situation, I was able to defend myself. In other words, I still use my karate. Because remember, a true karate master can win a fight without having to do this. So once again, let's keep in mind, when it comes to a knife fight, yeah, if I can, I want to get out of there. But if I put in my head, okay, it's a knife, I'm going to get cut, I'm going to get stabbed, it takes a little bit of that fear away. But the most important thing is, I don't want to give him a chance to cut me. As soon as he does that, boom, I'm in on him. If I hesitate and he starts to swing, step in, boom. Once again, attack the attacker. Remember, our blocks are strikes are blocks. He pulls out that knife, boom, there's my front kick. Everybody associates a front kick with a strike. But guess what? I blocked his attack. Remember, at Five Dragons Karate, when we say block, we mean my opponent did not hit me. That's a block. All right? So remember, being aware of the situation, proper stances, technique, and most importantly, at Five Dragons Karate, we teach a way, not the way. There's no one way to handle a self-defense